This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design. Welcome to the Joe Alvarez podcast, and this is our masterclass segment. In the masterclass segment of the show, we speak with professionals, accomplished professionals. There's a saying that the secret of men are in their stories, and there's power in mentorship. Our ability to listen to people who've been where we want to go. They've taken the well-worn path already, and been there and done that. It saves us a whole lot of hassle. So that's the pleasure we have today. And today on the show we have a special guest.
What is poor judgment? A poor judgment, I think, is self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you see people do something and you say, like, really? Do humans still do this? Like,
today we have an incredible guest whose journey is all about passion, focus, and the power of seizing opportunities. Martison Obeng-Agyei is the Chief Executive Officer of Afrimoney Sierra Leone, a leader in the fintech space with extensive expertise in marketing, sales, and distribution. But his story did not start in the boardroom. It started in his father's vehicle spare parts shop during his gap year. While his childhood dream was to become a pilot, his natural gift for marketing became undeniable. With no formal training, he effortlessly built a loyal customer base, prompting his father to steer him toward university training and career in marketing. From there, Martison made his mark in the fast-moving consumer goods FMCG industry, holding key roles at Guinness Ghana, Ghana Cement, and Cadbury. As mobile money and fintech took off, telecoms giants like TIGO, ZAIN, AIRTEL and VODAFONE sought his expertise. He was then poached to head Afrimoney Sierra Leone, where he has transformed the company, doubling its market share, and was awarded the best performing strategy pillar within AfriCell Sierra Leone Group in 2024. Beyond the boardroom, Martison is a proud foodie with a deep love for Bitas and Cassava Leaves, and he has not shied away from diving into the heated West African Jollof Wars debate. His story is a testament to the power of following your passion, embracing your strength, and making an impact wherever you go. Get ready for an inspiring conversation. Welcome to the JAB podcast with Martison Obeng-Agyei.
Mr. Martison Obeng-Agyei, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Martison, you come with a big long story that comes from. You said you wanted to be a pilot in your biggest and your wildest dream.
My wildest dreams. I mean, I was fascinated about planes and flying them, and I think much younger. I mean, I could understand how cars are driven on the road when you see your father driving and turning the steering and changing the gear lever. But how are planes flown? I'd never been in a flight, but I was just fascinated about it.
At what age? You said at a very early age you were working with your father in the shop. Your father used to sell spare parts. What kind of spares for what kind of cars?
Well, I mean, we sold spares for all cars. So my senior brother, my big cousin, was in Australia. And when they go to the junkyard, typically when you want to start a business like spare parts, you go and then you buy what you can get at the time before you start. Then when you go through the first, second sales after your first 2 shipments, then you get to know what's moving, what doesn't move. And then you begin to now decide what's coming. So we sold for almost a lot of types of cars, at the time. I've sold engines for Mazda 626, Mazda 323, and then it is during that time that you learn that Mazda 323 and one type of Kia have the same engine, and the Mazda 626 and Kia Capital had the same engine, and you realize that Opel and Daewoo were the same manufacturer but different brands. So this engine can fit in this one, this can fit in that. So it gives you a whole new understanding.
How many of the parts do you still remember?
Oh, I can still remember a lot of them now.
You don't sleep and dream. You're still in the spare parts shop.
My father kicked me out of the spare parts shop.
and let's talk about
deliberately
that. So let's talk about this again. It was first a pilot. You wanted to be a pilot, but then you started working with your father in a spare parts shop, and then. Was it going to be a form of engineering at that point in time? Or was in your head at that point in time when you sat there? And was it connected to anything you were studying at that point in time?
No, it was a placeholder.
Okay.
So what happened at that time in Ghana, there was a year break because the university students went on strike. So they clogged, they stopped 1 year of the flow from secondary school to university. So there was a 1 year break. So when you finished school at the time, I finished secondary school in 1990.
You had to wait for 1 year.
You had to wait for 1 year. So it was a placeholder. So I didn't even start selling spare parts immediately. I was selling, my father had a pure water company. And so I was running that business for him. And then we started.
How old were you then?
I was 18.
Okay.
And so I started the spare parts business, the pure water business. When the spare parts started, he said, okay, you leave this one, let it run, and then let's go and do the spare parts. I went to do the spare parts. So it was only a placeholder. Now, whilst I was there, my father would come to the shop. He would sit in the corner.
For how long did this go on for? Was it just for that 1 year, or
No, so it actually extended beyond. And I'll tell you why. So for that period, my father would come to the shop. He would sit in the corner, listen to his radio, read his newspaper, and I'll be doing the job, right? When you're selling spare parts, your main customer is not the final consumer. Your main customer is the mechanic. The mechanic is the one who is recommending which engine and which shop to buy it for the final consumer. Because the final consumer doesn't come from a place of knowledge.
Wow.
It's the mechanic who comes from a place of knowledge and tells you, by just looking at the engines, he can tell you this one is better than this one. Let's not buy this one. Let's choose this one. Some engines can look very new and fresh, but the mechanic will not recommend that one. So when they come to your shop, they try to build a relationship with you. If you are smart, you pick the cues of the relationship, and then they have an established relationship with you. Then they keep bringing their customers to you over and over again. That means that you also had the duty to be nice to them, and you pay them something for giving you a customer base. So over that period, my father had observed that if I was not in the shop and he was there alone, if I was running an errand or, typical Africa business, once you buy the parts, you sell it in your local currency, you have to change it back into dollars to be able to repatriate it for the next set, So if I had gone to the Forex to try and go and do Forex business or gone to the bank and anything, when the mechanics came and my dad was there, they will not do business. They'll tell my dad they are waiting for me to come.
How did your dad take that?
Well, he's a businessman. He wants his money. As long as you are not leaving the shop and you are going to come back or you are going to wait for me to return, my dad was okay with it.
He was okay with that.
He was okay with it. So my dad observed that over time. And then when I came back to the shop and I met the guys and we shook hands and we had a conversation and all of that, and I did what they wanted for them and they kept coming, my dad realized, my dad was the first person to identify that I could be a marketer. I had no clue. But you see, as they always say, what the elderly see sitting.
What they see sitting, you can stand on trees and you cannot see 10% of that. So that's how your dad picked up the fact that you had a knack for marketing. And and what did he say to you?
He kicked me out of the shop. So it's when you go to the shop, when you keep going to the shop, you make money. Because my dad had a price list, right? The price list is how much I have to sell it, whether he's there or not. That's how much I have to pay that what belongs to the company. Sometimes,
and then you can,
by dint of your conversations, you realize that you can put a small mark. My father doesn't care. So I was making money. And so were the mechanics and everybody around me. So we were making a lot more money than what we were paid in the shop. So my dad realized that if he didn't take action to speed me up to the next level of my life,
this will get into your head.
The money will get into me and I will stay at the shop. And my dad will not have that for me at the time.
Then he pushed you out. What did you do then? You went to university?
To university. When it was time to go. Actually, I was 1 year behind my mates.
Okay, because of this?
Because I had to rewrite 2 of my papers.
Okay.
So my dad said, you be here. And then when time was up, my dad said, you got to go. He realized that I was getting into it. I was getting good with it. I was making money for him because things were moving. People were coming to the shop. The shops were thriving. We started with 1. We ended up with 2. Like it was expanding, 2 locations and stuff like that. That he realized that if he didn't push me, the money will let me stay. So
then you went to school.
Then I went to school and deliberately to pursue marketing. So when I started, when I went to uni, there's an institution in Ghana. Now it's called the University of Professional Studies, UPS. When I was there, it was Institute of Professional Studies, where you actually enroll for a professional qualification. And the school provides tuition, but the school doesn't provide you with the certification. So I wrote CIM UK, Chartered Institute of Marketing UK. That's what I registered for.
Okay.
Started the course. So you go to the school provides the tuition.
They provide the tuition,
provide accommodation and everything.
You sit external exams.
You sit external exams, right? And so I wanted to go to the University of Ghana so bad. Why? Most popular university, very brilliant. My friends were there. So I wanted to go and join them to study the humanities and everything, the music, whatever, to get you into the university. Because it was a place to be. Like, you know, my dad said, no, you are not going there. You have to go and do a professional course. I didn't take it well from the beginning. But my dad called me one day and said, look, my father's brother was at the time the Deputy Minister of Education. May he so rest in peace, Commander. My dad said to me, if I want you to go to any university in this country,
you will go.
You will not even write exams. My brother is the minister. Your uncle is the Deputy Minister of Education. So you can enter any university. But that is not what I want for you. So my dad made my uncle call me. My uncle called and told me that his sons didn't go to the school I wanted to go. They went to where my dad wants to go and do a professional course. My dad said, you go and do a professional course, you come out a professional. You don't come out a graduate. So if you went to the university, you come out a graduate. You go to a professional institution, you come out a professional. So my dad was an accounting professional. And he wanted me to take that path, but in marketing. I wasn't happy with it from the start, but I went and I started. And I must say that if I owe anything to my dad, it's that decision my dad took for me. He didn't make me take it. You know, he took the decision away from me. He made the decision, handed it over to me, and he said, run with it.
Sometimes our parents are right.
Most times they are right.
Most times they are right. But actually, I've seen situations where, you know, parents just want to live their life through their kids, and so the decisions they push them to. I was a doctor, or there's nobody who's a doctor in the family, so you have to be the doctor and stuff, and it doesn't turn out well in some of those circumstances. But in your case, your dad was right.
My dad was right.
He had seen the traits you were displaying, and he said, push you down. And then so 25 years later, you've carved out a unique path for yourself. And let's talk about the companies you've worked in during professional life after graduating with your as a marketing professional.
So actually, I got the opportunity to start working whilst I was still in school. There was an opportunity with Guinness Ghana Limited. They took a few of us. We started a job, and then
that was Guinness
Ghana Limited. Whilst we were at it, the marketing director at the time spoke to us and said, "You guys are doing a good job. You should continue." So because it was sales, it was marketing related, I was really excited about it. And then from there, I did Guinness for a while. You go out at night, you were working with the nightclubs, we were working with the events, the parties. So, you know, you have fun whilst you're working. So it was exciting.
So it was Guinness.
So I started with Guinness.
Then Cadbury.
Then from there, I went to Gasem to do my national service. Ghana Cement.
Okay.
So Gasem is a cement company in Ghana. I went there to do my national service. After a while, they said, no, they have changed their policy. They are not absorbing the graduates anymore. So I left there, and then my first proper job that I applied for was Cadbury.
And between Guinness and Cadbury, you know, I think I had you in listening to some of the stuff you had shared, that you started actually proper marketing in FMCG, fast moving commercial goods.
Yes, that is Cadbury.
That was Cadbury.
So
how long did you do that for?
Amazing. Cadbury, I stayed in Cadbury for about a year. I stayed in Cadbury for, no, not a year, but about 2 years in Cadbury. So when I got to Cadbury, they said to me, you are not going to be in Accra, you are going to go to the Western region. I was so distraught. I mean, I remember the CEO at the time, there were two of us who were recruited at the same time, on the same day, started on the same day, 15th of February. And then he says, you are going to Takrady and you are staying in Accra. I'm like, oh God, how did he this one?
How can he have
Just
it?
decide? But there were two reasons. My other colleague, who was actually my senior from IPS, we came from the same school. He had a little more experience because he had worked at Fan Milk before coming. So they wanted to trust him with Accra. And he had just gotten married.
And it was a marketing assignment.
Yes, he was a marketing. He had just gotten married, and then he was also in school, so they put him in Accra. He took me to the Western region. Again, Mr. James Boateng, who was the MD at the time, I owe him for this decision. He took the decision and he said, you go. I didn't have a choice.
And what was fortuitous about that?
Now, good. At the time when I had gotten employment with Cadbury, and they wanted to take me to Takrady, I had also gotten another university
Acceptance?
I got another acceptance. So after finishing the professional course, I wanted to go to the university for 2 years now, because with my professional course, they'll let me just do 2 years, and then I'll end up with both now, which will put me above my peers. So I wanted to go to university. And I had both opportunities at the same time. I didn't consult anybody. I decided to work.
To go to Takrady. And this course wasn't in Takrady?
No. So I went to work there. So this was me, young man, left on my own, and I was thrown in the deep to go and find my feet in Takrady, a place I had never been. I had no accommodation, nothing. I went to a pitch with a friend, and then later on got my own accommodation and started life, started working in the area, and I was covering 2 territories, Western region and the Central region.
What kind of products were you?
So we're selling Bonvita, the famous Bonvita, and then Richoko, and then we had Tom Tom, the candy, and then we had original Hacks. So it was split into 2, beverage and confectionery, and I was responsible for everything in that area. Right?
Now, how did the switch came? Because from Cadbury you then moved to telecoms.
Yes.
How did that switch take place?
So in 2006 in Ghana, when telecom had started and it was booming, when the first telecom company, a mobile company, was at the time what became TIGO. Now, when they wanted to switch from postpaid to prepaid, because postpaid was very segment-led, where only a few people could afford it. But when they started wanting to sell SIM cards and change from postpaid to focus now on prepaid, they needed people who had FMCG background. People who knew the customer dynamics, people who knew how to put a poster, where to put it, how to deal with customers, how to deal with suppliers and third parties, and so on and so on.
And FMCG is fast-moving
Consumer goods.
Consumer goods.
So I sell toffees, candy, which is Tom Tom, right? My job at the time when I was in Cadbury is to ensure that we had a horseshoe dispenser. We put the horseshoe dispenser at the till. So when you come and you make payments and you are left with coins, the lady at the till generally doesn't have coins to give you back, or pretend they don't have coins to give you back,
give you some
Tom Tom, which is nothing to you by price, but to them is business. So when I sold that concept, when we sold that concept to the shop owners, you realize that when you have chicken change left, they will not give it to you. They'll
always say, take some Tom.
And that is what telecom needed at the time.
Okay.
People who understood product placement, people who understood marketing, people who understood, like, we used to fight for shelf space. So in FMCG, there's something we call the eye level calculation, to understand that when the customer enters the shop, what do they see?
Whatever say at the eye
so that
level.
First shelf, we'll fight for it. There was also some research that was trying to distinguish between where women and men tend when they enter a shop. One of them will tend to the left, one of them will tend to the right. So the women usually will tend to the left, the men will tend to the right. So we put the bottles of alcohol will be put on the right, and then the baby stuff and the food and everything
we'll put to the left.
So those things are not, they are scientific. So telecom needed people who understood that to help in the metamorphosis. And that is how come we were plugged. So I had a senior from IPS who was working in the telecom company at the time. And when they wanted to expand, he said, I know a guy. I think he's good. Let's interview him. And then I went through the interviews. There were 10 of us. They wanted only 2. 3 of us were so good, the company ended up taking 3 of us. And that's how come I ended in telecom. So to answer your question, the change happened because we were in demand to fill the gap based on the vision of the telecom service providers.
This is the Joe Abbas podcast, and my guest today is Martison Obeng-Agyei. Martison is the CEO for Afrimoney. Martison's been with Afrimoney 3 years, and Martison has pulled a big stunt, a huge stunt, turn Afrimoney around and growing with leaps and bounds, and was only promoted to CEO. He's been leading the company, or promoted to CEO a few months ago. So it was TIGO, then AIRTEL,
Yes,
then ZAIN, then Vodafone.
No, ZAIN, TIGO, ZAIN. ZAIN changed to AIRTEL.
Yes.
Then from AIRTEL to Vodafone.
Then Vodafone. And how long that was? How many years within those 4?
So from TIGO, when I moved from the FMCG and I went to TIGO, I was regional sales manager for Accra. Mm-hmm. In Accra, you are very visible, and what we were doing was impactful because we're driving sales. I stayed in TIGO for 9 months.
Only 9 months.
And I was poached.
Then they poached by ZAIN.
So I went to ZAIN. I stayed between ZAIN and AIRTEL. I stayed 4.5 years. I changed roles 6 times.
Tell me those roles. Which one they were?
I started with channel development manager. I became retail and channel sales manager. I became zonal business manager. I became national sales manager. I became director for mobile money, AIRTEL money at the time.
AIRTEL money.
Yes.
And that's how I moved to Vodafone money.
So it was in 2011.
Vodafone cash.
That 2010. Then that's when I became director for AIRTEL money, and then from there, but I didn't go to Vodafone with
the cash,
mobile money. I went there as a marketing manager. So I dropped the mobile money at the time, and then
Vodafone was bigger than ZAIN. Then.
Vodafone was bigger.
And then how did you end up with mobile money?
So because I had experience with mobile money, right? I went into Vodafone. I became a marketing manager, so I was head of consumer marketing. And then at that time, Vodafone had also started their mobile money business. Mm-hmm. And there was rumor later on that Vodafone is looking for a head for the business, for mobile money. Okay. I wasn't looking there. I wasn't interested because I was focused on building my marketing capability because I'd learned marketing, but I'd been a salesman for all my career. Mm. So I wanted to build on my marketing. So I was focused on doing my marketing. And then they went around, they were looking for people, they were looking for somebody to come and head the mobile money business. And they went around and they kept searching and they were not getting, kept searching. So one day, the CEO went somewhere, was having a conversation with somebody and he says, there's a young man in your company, his name is Martison. He used to lead
mobile money in
have you guys spoken to him?
In ZAIN.
He said, I don't know, nobody told me. So I was there one day, they said, CEO wants to speak to me. I went to him. And then he said, I hear you used to do mobile money before. I said, yes. He started having a conversation with me, asked me a few questions, I answered the questions. He said, okay, let's see. Next moment, I had a call from the group that I'm going to have a mobile money director interview. I'm like, whoa. But in that process, there's something that I want to mention. When I went to Vodafone, I was working under the marketing director as head of consumer marketing. Her name is Agnes Issa. Very, very good woman. Now, when I was working with her, she gave me a lot of responsibility and I was running with it. When I heard about the mobile money, I said I needed to help myself and help Agnes. Mm-hmm. So I was so focused on doing my work that she noticed that I was very ingrained in my work. When the CEO wanted to decide to even speak to me or not,
you had to speak to
Agnes and
said, Agnes, I want to
speak to Martison about this. If he's successful, he becomes a director like you. So he becomes your level. Do I get the go ahead from you? And Agnes said, yes, you have my go ahead.
Wow.
So you see?
That's cool.
Yes, those things don't happen because you are working for them.
Yeah.
But it's because the people you are working with and the people you are working for are observing and they look at your dedication. If she didn't feel I was dedicated, she'd probably say no. Yeah. He's not good enough. He's not up to waiting. But she gave a go ahead. And she didn't even tell me she had given the go ahead until the man spoke to me. And immediately I left the CEO's office. I went to her office. I said, Agnes, CEO just called me. And this is what he has. And she started laughing. I said, so you know about it? He said, I did. You know, and I think that experience is also a bit humbling for you to know that your boss can stand where you are not and speak for you.
Speak so highly of you.
Yeah, very important.
So how did you come to Africell Sierra Leone? Let's deal with that. When did you get the phone call? Where were you? How did you get the phone call?
So during the COVID, I mean, this is 2021. I'm at home. I'm doing my business, and then I got a LinkedIn email. We want to have a conversation with you from a recruitment company in South Africa.
Okay.
So I said, okay, schedule the time. We had a conversation, and then they said, look, we have seen your work on LinkedIn. We want to see if we can have a conversation with you. Can you send us your CV if you are interested? Okay, let's give it a shot. I sent my CV to them. They called me. We had an interview. So what they did is not an interview. It's as an assessment. So they assess you to see, based on what they have been told to look for, are you a fit or not? So after they did the assessment, I think about 3 days or 4 days later, they came back to me and said, look, we did the assessment. We like you, but we want to pass you on now to the company if you give us the go-ahead. I said, which company? They didn't want to tell me at first. And then later on, I said, if you don't tell me, we are not proceeding. They told me. So I had the first call with Andy, who was the then group boss.
For mobile money.
So I spoke to Andy, and then Andy's like, okay. After I spoke to him, he said, okay, I'll get back to you. Then 2 days later, he sent me a message and said, look, we're going to have another interview, this time with the COO, with at the time the Chief Investment Officer. There was Mahasi also in the email. And so we want to have a conversation with the four of us. I'm like, okay, let's quick. Came back to me. So when the call opened, and this is everybody on a video call, and they're like, okay, so Andy has said he's spoken to you. He likes what you put forward. And then it's the questions that are coming. And I was answering them, and when we had a conversation, went on and on and on. And they're like, okay, thank you. So we'll get back to you. I think in about another week or less than a week, then I was told I was going to have a final conversation or interview with the CEO. So I had an invitation from
the chairman,
our very own Shadi Jajawi.
Okay, it was Shadi. Okay,
it was Shadi.
Okay.
So Shadi, I remember that day very well. It was Friday. Shadi opened the video, and then the first thing he said was, "Mr. Kweku, how are you?" I was taken aback because, you know, Kweku is my day born. And typically, it's not an official name for the books. So anybody who calls you Kweku is either family or very close friend or somebody who knows you. And then he says, "You're surprised, right?" I'm like, "Yeah," I smiled. And he says, "Oh, I have friends from Ghana and da." So okay, so that's how he broke the ice. And then he said, "Well, everybody who has spoken to you so far has spoken highly of you. I don't know why, but I want to find out." And I laughed. And then he started asking me a few questions. It became a conversation more than an interview. But there was one question he asked me, I didn't know it was a curveball. After I answered it, he said, "Okay, we are done here. I think you give me the answer I was looking for." So
what was that question?
He asked me if I got a job between marketing, commercial, and technical for mobile money business, which do I think is most important? I didn't blink. I didn't even breathe. I said, "It's commercial." Then he said, "Why?" I said, "Mobile money is not a technical business. It's a commercial business supported by technology." And so he said, if you had to recruit two people, you had only one chance, a commercial person, a technical person. I said, "I would recruit a commercial person." He said, "Why?" I said, "We can outsource technology very easily. You do not want to outsource your
marketing.
Your commercial. Because your commercial is your business." He said, "I've been trying to tell some people they don't understand."
They didn't believe me.
I said, "This is what it is." And
I have somebody to support.
Many people confuse it. And he's like, "Okay, we'll get back to you." Next moment, we are talking about negotiations. And then 1st December 2021, I even was pleading with them. Let me start
January.
He said, no. You come. You just come and familiarize.
And then you could go back.
But sign it for December.
Sign for December. And you could go back to your family for Christmas.
Yeah, if you wanted to. So 1st December 2021, I started. So this year, December 1st, I'll be 3 years here. So this is how I ended up in
Mr. Kweku Martison Obeng-Agyei. And we met one of your colleagues, one of our competitors, and the other day, and I was there. And when he said, what did he say to you?
He said, "Martison, you are very aggressive, eh?"
Yeah, when the competition tells you you're very aggressive, it means they've noticed your effect. And but anyway, so let's go back. What we tried to do, we've run through everything. So you've been in Sierra Leone. I know you still only have Ghanaian stuff. And which of the Sierra Leonean diets have you tried and that you think you like most?
My favorite is bitas.
Bitters.
I like bitter leaf. I like it for all the good reasons. So I like bitter leaf.
Is it do you have it with fufu and not banku? Do you have it with the Ghanaian store?
Yes,
or?
I have it with the Ghanaian banku.
Okay.
And I love it. I like cassava leaf as well. Potato leaf, I'm not too comfortable.
You're not too comfortable with it.
Cassava leaf and bitas. Bitas. You have me.
Now we're going to take a wild ride, because one of the stuff we've shared together with Martison is we shared a couple of thoughts, and it's in obviously those thoughts, like you clearly just said to Shadi. It's a marketing stuff and not technical. You could always outsource technical, but it's a marketing stuff. You have those thoughts that you come up with that are very solid and robust. One of the stuff we start with, you're talking about execution excellence, and you said when strategy fails, it falls on all, including leadership. But when execution fails, it's on you. What does that mean?
You are as strong as your weakest link.
Okay.
When strategy, so I'll repeat it, when strategy fails, it fails on all of us, including leadership. But when execution fails, it fails on you. Because you see how companies go through a budgeting cycle and trying to determine strategy. Whatever strategy, so like we are going to 2025, we have designed a strategy from our side. My team and I have sat down, we've looked at it, we presented it to Shadi, looked at it, and then he looked at it, and he believed in it. We went chop, change, add, subtract. We got a document we think is workable. He now took it forward and then went and presented to the group CEO and group chairman. And everybody looked at it like, oh, this strategy is good. We think it will work. So what will he do? They bring it back and they say, Martison, you are chief executive, you own the company. This time you go and get it done. What we do is now break down the strategy into workable pieces. So we almost form like a Lego. We dismantle it and everybody takes their piece. Meet me in front of Afri Radio at 6:30. I have my piece, you have your piece, we put it together, we move. If you don't come at 6:30 and I am there, I have my piece, you don't bring your piece, we don't put it together, we will not get what we are looking for, which we're supposed to get by 6:30. We miss it, we have failed. That has nothing to do with strategy. It had everything to do with execution. So you have to do your part. And let me do my part and let's meet. When we meet there at 6:30 and we put it together and it's supposed to cause an earthquake and we put it together and there's no earthquake, that is because the strategy didn't work.
And so it's on everybody. So we could go back.
Everybody.
You could go back to the level and say, let's review the strategy.
So we go back and everybody will say, we thought to do this, and then somebody say, oh, we thought there would be an earthquake because of some scientific research. So we all go back and we are all at fault. When management is at fault, it's a we failed.
We just review again.
And there's something that there's a language: fail fast, fail forward. Look. When your bosses make a mistake and they don't want to accept it even directly, there's so much language they can use. Oh, it's okay. We failed fast. And when you fail fast, you learn. Yes. And when you fail forward, you learn, you can backtrack and you get it done. But if you were not there at 6:30, you did not submit your piece of the puzzle, it's on you. It's on you. Imagine everybody gets to the airport at the time they are supposed to get to the airport. The plane is there, everything is fine. Where is the pilot?
Pilot is not there. Plane
that
not
has failed. Enough. And the plane is supposed to move at that time and land at a certain time. And so this is how execution excellence is important. You do your part, let me do my part, and let's see whether the strategy will work or not.
And I couldn't imagine in my mind how many times you've seen in your professional life. So when it works and when it doesn't, and somebody doesn't show up. And strategy, execution just collapses.
Yes.
and stuff. Now, so beautiful. So keep this one. You will note we're going to roll them out. Let's go to the next one. There's something. Again, it's something I've been trying to really, really explain in my mind, and I've been speaking it in Creole. We still come to test your Creole proficiency just now. We would rate it, but this is something we've been sharing a couple of times, and then. then one day you put clear words into this. In a polygamous home, the child that tries to be those whose mother is most diligent. Now, what would that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean in the context of execution?
Yeah.
And just share that.
So look, resources are finite. So in a polygamous home, let's say a man has 3 wives or 4 wives. Probably he has 12 children. Each one has 3, each one has 4. And if you grew up in Ghana, where, in the olden days, everybody was trying to have a male child because of inheritance, and the
so they'll have up to 5, 6, 7.
Everybody wants to
looking for the male child.
So before you realize, the man has many children. and the women, they say, are the ones who determine how many children they want to have. Now, when you grow up in such a home, either you are together or you are apart, right? Whatever your father gets, he wants to distribute. It might not be equitable. No, I will not use the word might. It will not be equitable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It will not be equitable. Some will get more than some. But how does one get more than the other? The plug between the father and the child is the mother. So, in that polygamous home, the mother who is diligent, the father can come up with a rule. If your child is not smart and they cannot pass their exams, I'm not taking them forward.
It's on them.
Your mother will spend her last money taking you for extra classes so that you can be able to make the mark if she's diligent. That's number one. Number two, usually in a polygamous home, the man doesn't also love the women all the same.
All the same, yeah.
There's roles that everybody plays. If your mother is smart enough to identify her role, she plays it very well, she gets more to give you. That's diligence. If your mother cites the competition, if she feels the competition, she knows there's competition, sometimes they get prayerful, they do everything that they want. But the woman who is not polygamous home, who is unaware of the situation and fails to look at the details and the nitty-gritty, her children might not turn out well because the resources are only finite. I remember my uncle told me once that my grandfather, when he took them to school, he had a polygamous home. He had many children. Then he'll come and call you one day, and then he'll ask you a question, and you speak English. He says, fine, you can speak English now. It's okay, you go it out. For the next person to come, once you can speak English, you are okay. Go and you can. My grandmother told them that secret. So when my uncles go, they don't speak proper English. He says, okay, no, you go. Small time. So those are the tricks of the trade.
Okay.
So in every polygamous home, the child who will thrive is the one whose mother is diligent. It comes to the workplace, and I say this all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. How does that apply in the workplace? I have 3 direct reports.
I have 4 verticals in my organization. I have product and strategy. I have marketing. I have sales and distribution. I have corporate. Product and operations, sales and distribution, marketing and corporate. Everybody falls under one of these verticals with the heads. We have a budget, and that budget is finite. So we have to deliver what we have to deliver. So at the beginning of the year like this, we've done a budget. Going into next year, we have a budget. That budget line allocates money for every vertical for the execution of the strategy that we think will culminate into the achievement of the target. Starting January, everybody has to do what they have to do, and we keep going. If you don't start in January and somebody doubles up in January, I will take your budget and give to the one who's doubled up in January, because you not starting means we have missed your part of the contribution to the overall target. The one who is doubling up might need more resources,
and we could get the results.
So when we get into February, your January budget is gone. Don't come back to me and say, we are not doing sandbagging. So when I need something and I go to my board, and I tell the board what I need and why we need them, I show them the results that we are delivering. The board might take money from somebody else or somewhere else, give it to me because I'm progressing. And then, fast forward, that person gets a promotion or gets a salary raise, and you don't understand. Why did he take my resources, give to that guy, and then after that they promoted him? He put in aggressive execution. He got the resources because you were like a lackadaisical, not using them. And his performance is what gave him the promotion. And the promotion comes with salary raise. So before you realize, you will start the year with somebody at the same level. By diligence and aggression, he goes this way. And sometimes, and most of the time, it's not personal. We live in an organization where resources are finite, and you have to understand that it is a polygamous home.
And in a polygamous home,
your boss has to look at everybody, but the one who is most diligent in delivering results, he gets the resources.
My guest on the show today is Martison Obeng-Agyei. Martison is the CEO for Afrimoney, and we just ended the second in a big bullets of stuff that we're looking at. Big ticket item. It says in a polygamous home, the child that thrives will be those whose mother is most diligent. Let's turn to the third one. You said Jesus came to heal the sick and raise the dead, but not the stupid. If you are stupid, you're on your own.
I think,
and these are stuff Martison has been throwing around in the last 3 years. Each time he says something that stands out, I'll write it down. And I'll tell Martison, I'm writing these things down. Each time he says something that is so strong, I'll write it down. And so let's talk about that. He came to heal the sick and raise the dead, but not the stupid.
but it's very true.
If you're stupid, you're on your own.
There's nowhere in the Bible where Jesus dealt with the stupid. He healed the sick, he raised the dead. Jesus, people were brought to him. He went to people. He healed people whilst walking on the road. There were lepers that came to him. He treated them. He asked them to
we're never told about anybody. But let's talk about stupidity. What does stupid mean?
If you look in the dictionary, stupidity means someone who has consistent poor judgment. Someone who consistently has poor judgment. So, what is poor judgment? A poor judgment, I think, is self-explanatory. Like, sometimes you see people do something and you say, like, really? Do humans still do this? Like, that is somebody who consistently. So, having a sense of poor judgment once, you are not stupid. But consistently exercising poor judgment, you are stupid. And you see, many people who are in that category, the sad part is that they do not know that they are there. Or they do not believe that they are there. And that is the scariest part. When a man has a wound and he acknowledges he has a wound, he makes an effort to heal the wound. When a man has a wound
and does not acknowledge
and does not know he has a wound, when he's told he has a wound, he might now go and try and heal it. When a man has a wound and knows he has a wound and fails to acknowledge he has a wound, it will kill him. Because every day you see the wound, it's like, okay, this one tomorrow it will heal by itself. That is consistently, and every day you say it will heal by itself, and it's getting worse. That is the consistency in the poor judgment. And that's where stupidity comes from.
And nobody can help you.
Not even Jesus.
Even Jesus can't help you.
He didn't.
Call me crazy. Don't call me stupid. You say Jack Ma says. What was Jack Ma talking about?
Yeah, when Jack Ma started his business, Alibaba, and a lot of the things that they were doing, they were crazy stuff. Look. I mean, let's take it away from Jack Ma. He said it. Let's look at Elon Musk. He said many things about SpaceX. He said many things. In their most recent exhibition, you saw the robots, the driverless cars, and all the things that they want to do. Many times, when you want to do things,
you're crazy.
When the two gentlemen who started Google, when they were asked, what do you want to do? They said, we want to organize the world data. They asked them how. They said, we don't know, but we'll do it. In the early days of Steve Jobs, they said when they manufactured the iPhone, he said it's too big. They said, no, it's not too big. He drops the iPhone in water. When bubble comes out, it means that there's air and there's space in it. So compact it. Today, all these companies I've mentioned have become the multi-trillion, like big corporations. Some companies are worth more than the entire GDP of Africa. Now, when your dream is not big enough, it will not be called crazy. So Jack Ma said, when I'm doing something and you think I'm a fanatic, call me crazy. Don't call me stupid. Here, stupid, he means that my judgment on that is not poor. You have not seen the vision, so you call me crazy. Because you think I'm crazy, you think I'm doing something that is abnormal. But don't call me stupid, because you will see the results. And they are proving it over time.
No one knows what they are doing. This is a big quote I said. You said that to me. You said nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. Not even the ones with degrees, big job titles, and more things than you. Not even the people on your vision board. Everyone is just trying boldly. They are failing loudly, and they are trying again. So should you.
So should you. You see, and let's relate this to strategy, what we spoke about, execution excellence. You know how many years, I mean, you've been a senior executive for a long time. How many years we think about stuff, we plan stuff, and we say, this one, if we lift it from here and we put it here, we strike gold. Look at these big oil corporations. They go and do maximum exploration, and then they say there's big oil field here, and they go and invest millions of dollars. They go there, they drill oil for 2 years, oil done. Where did the oil go? What happened to exploration? Did God move it? We don't know. So there's no silver bullet. Nobody knows the end from the beginning. Nobody knows the end from the beginning. Everybody is trying. So what you need to do is to try. Every day be a better version of yourself. Try. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And consistency is what will get you there. If Elon Musk knows what he's doing, then he can tell us that tomorrow the world is coming to an end. What all this AccuWeather and Google and everybody has said, it will rain tomorrow. Every once in a while, it fails.
Yes.
But it doesn't stop them from sending that the sun is shining at the same time when they said it is raining. Because you do not control the universe. We don't control the universe. There is the controller of the universe. But we have to keep trying. Not even the people you believe in, the best person. Even doctors make mistakes. But when you are sick, you still go to the hospital. Because every day they keep trying. So nobody knows what they're about. We're all trying.
Nobody knows what they're about. They're just trying. There's a poem I had. It says, in the forest in Africa, somewhere in the forest in Africa, the lion wakes up and the lion says, if I were to survive today, I have to run faster
than the fastest gazelle.
Than the fastest cheetah, the slowest cheetah. And then, you know, the
slowest gazelle.
The gazelle. And now the gazelle wakes up on the other side of the forest and it says, if I have to survive today, I have to run faster than the fastest lion. That's when I will survive. So it doesn't matter when the sun comes up, lion or gazelle.
One of them.
You have to be running. Everybody has to be running. So like that's what you're saying. Everybody's trying.
Everybody's trying.
And they're failing loudly. We're hesitating and don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And so we're not trying, we're not acting. So this is what they're doing, and you're saying we should. So
we should also do it. Yes.
So should we? Now, talent versus hard work. Which one do we go with? The role of the brain and knowledge and wisdom and versus talent and knowledge. Which one do we go with? It says science, sense, and faith.
Well, I think talent is overrated.
Talent is overrated. How
but
so?
At the same time, you see, talent is what makes work that is supposed to be hard easy. But the work has to be done.
Talent makes work that needs to be done easy, but the
talent
work has to be
makes
done.
So I say talent makes hard work easy. I say talent is the catalyst that makes a little effort shine brightest. Talent.
Oh yeah, it's the talent. That's
the
polish.
Catalyst.
It's the polishing.
So when you see a Brazilian play football, you know that they have a skill, they have a flair. You can tell that this guy is a football, like the football is, like we say, it's in their blood, even the way they move with the football. And then you see somebody who has learned how to play football. The Japanese never knew how to play football. Football was not a Japan thing. Football was South America, it was African, it was Europe, Japan. If you watched Japan's first participation in the World Cup,
they nearly disgraced it.
How did they do it? They went surgical. They told you how many steps to move with the ball and to pass it and where your next player will be. It was very calculated. And they succeeded, but you see, those who have the talent to and have also worked hard will end up at the top. But you cannot depend on your talent. Even in the Bible, when the story is told about the women, the women who were given the talents, some went, dug the ground, put the talent there. But those who went, the one who went and worked with the talent, doubled it or tripled it. This is how the story is told. Like, this is what our maker wants us to do. The talent, everybody has a certain talent. But you cannot sit on your talent and assume that, oh, I will not train. I'm told or I'm blessed with running the 5,000 meters. So you wake up the day of the marathon and then you start running. Boss, by 1 kilometer you collapse. And if you collapse, you will die. Like, this is how, because you have to train your lungs. Now you get the talent.
Yeah.
But you have to train your lungs, you have to train your legs, you have to train your muscles. Because if you wear the wrong shoe to run with your talent, you will fail. You get a talent, not to the shoe.
Talent is overrated. Now you talked about something that you don't fall in love with your business idea. It's dangerous to fall in love. And you talked about how in business and in strategy, how do the guys got to know that the dog the dog food. Tell me about that. So let's roll that out.
Yeah. Falling in love with your own ideas at the onset might be one of the most dangerous things you will do when you are trying to start a business or drive a certain strategy. And the reason I say it, if when you fall in love with your own ideas, you want to chase them without doing the necessary research.
I thought you needed that to fall in love so that you have the passion and da. Isn't it contradictory to what you would normally imagine?
So you see, when you wake up in the morning and then you think you have the brightest idea, sometimes just by doing desk research, you realize that somebody did it 10 years ago and it didn't work. But because you've not taken your time to go through to check and balance. Okay, so I was told that when you prepare cassava leaf stew, they have to put granite inside. And I hear there's a science behind it. Because if you do use the cassava leaf alone without the granite, there's an effect it will have on your body. I'm also not sure. Mm-hmm. But this was what I was told by a woman. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is how come they put granite in it. But many people don't know. But what they do is that they go ahead today and do it. So you wake up in the morning, you tasted cassava leaf, and you're like, I don't like peanuts, so I'm not going to put in it. And you fall in love with the idea you want to do to it. You finish cooking, you eat. Now you they grown. So I'm just trying to say, so the reason I say that is it's related to research.
Right.
In the business environment, you have to test your hypothesis. You have to understand what it means. If you want to create dog food,
it's not like just I want to be innovative and so you say I'm innovative. I want to do something that somebody has never done before, and so go ahead.
Yes.
You would have granite to it.
And then you realize that
when
we're growing up and we're being creative, there are many things we did. There were things that you thought you could really do, many things we did. And then they feel like, you think you can build a house with clay, and then you realize that it's broken down. You realize you need sticks in between. And why is it that every 2 or 3 blocks you need to put a pillar just to hold it? And these are things that if you don't know, you might think that you have the most brilliant idea, but you have to test your idea. If you don't test your hypothesis, if you don't, and most of the things we do in strategy, we are doing it for other people so that we can make a profit. So those people have to like what you want to do. So your idea might be good, but you need to test it. So if you fall in love with your idea very quickly, you get up and go and do it, there's a high likelihood you fail.
We're talking about stuff, life transforming, life changing stuff, and I hope you've been part of the journey, and there's a lot that you already added there to your pile of stuff that would help you the next level of your life. Next big one, next aphorism. Now, you can never be a good leader without the willingness to offend. I heard you say this. So let's you can never be a good leader. Now, so are you saying, Martison, are you advocating for people to go out and just offend others? Is that what you're saying?
No.
He says you cannot be a good leader without your willingness to offend. Tell me about that.
Okay. So I remember when I got my first directorship role, I am a person who likes to avoid conflicts deliberately. I try to avoid conflicts, especially in the boardroom, And then in doing so, you realize that sometimes there's a heated argument. The argument is going on, and you need to take action. You need to get involved. You need to save your space, and you try to stay off, trying to be on the brink so that you don't offend anybody. And my CEO told me, Martison, this attitude will not get you anywhere, because there comes a point where you have to take the bull by the horn. You have to face your demons here and now. And you talk about it and you deal with it and you move on. People will be offended because every day in the tasks that you do in the office, with the job that you do.
Even in a meeting we had today this afternoon,
you will offend people because
I had you lay out the fact.
Yeah, everybody will come to work that day with what they want to do. But some of what somebody wants to do will get in your way, and you will also get in somebody's way. Many a time, When you see big CEOs, workers who are leaving the company, moving on, they talk, and then you listen to most of the CEOs. They say, if in the course of my duty, I offended anybody, forgive me. It was not deliberate, but it was in the interest of the job. The willingness to offend means that you know that what you are going to do, not everybody will be happy. Some people will be offended by it, but it's okay. If you want to stay on the fence, you can never be battle ready. Sometimes you need to take the bull by the horn, you face your fears, you deal with it, and then the best way is you recover. And then you move on. If you do not want to offend anybody, then you have to go to the seminary and leave the business world for us.
That's why people don't offend the other. Now it says, and Yisolan says, sometimes you have to steal the bicycle and then ask for forgiveness.
I'm a strong believer in that as well. You know,
sometimes you have to steal the bicycle and ask for forgiveness. When do you have to do that?
There are things will not always go the way you want it to go. And as you think, oh, if I do this, it will end up in this, and this person will give me that. And in the workplace, in the work environment, sometimes things need to get done. The permissions you need, the approvals you need, some of it will take time. But you know very well, at your execution level, that this is so time-bound that at the time you are calling your boss, he's in a meeting, he's not picking up, his boss is wasting the time, things are not moving, but you are very sure by all conviction that if I don't do this at this time, I'll fail. You cannot wait for things to be as they should be all the time. Sometimes you have to bend the rules and ask for forgiveness. So things always don't go the way we expect it to be. And therefore, when we are not in normal times, we are not in normal times.
And I'm wondering whether this counts as something we said earlier. I'll try to see. It's execution excellence. It's execution excellence where
this actually buttresses execution excellence.
You deliver a result. You ultimately go at the end of the day and deliver the result.
You have to deliver. You have to deliver.
And sometimes, even when you can deliver something, you can take an approach that is contrary to strategy, but then prove that you are right.
And it works. And that's the person who will be forgiven, rather than the one who's stuck.
So you will be forgiven if you deviate from strategy, but you achieve the goal and prove you are right.
Sometimes you steal the bicycle and ask for forgiveness.
Steal the bicycle, and people will understand because they will see the results already, and they know, oh, Martison, this is gems, and I hope you've been, we're trying to round up now, and I hope this has been useful to you. One more push. You must be humble enough to apologize to your direct reports. You must be humble enough. Tell me about that.
Yeah, in leadership, there's humility. I mean, nobody got anywhere being an arrogant leader. You will be overthrown or you'll be ousted. Or your people will say all the wrong things about you and you find yourself in the place you don't want to find yourself. Sometimes, the decisions we take as leaders also not only offend, some of them are wrong. You might take a wrong decision. So, in the case of strategy, when we have delivered, we have put out a strategy, and we are so happy with it, we think it works. The guy goes on the ground and he says, this will not work. And you chastise him and you bastardize him and you say, go get it done. And he sticks to your strategy and it fails. He comes back to you and says, boss, we did what you said we should do.
You have to have the humility when you're wrong and say, I think I was wrong.
When you say something to somebody out of anger, when you do something to somebody in the workplace out of anger, or something goes wrong, sometimes you need to understand that they are humans. They come to work. They are your subordinate, but they are people's parents. They are somebody's, you see, your security man is somebody's breadwinner. So when you say something that bruises their ego, you say something that works against them, you have to be humble enough to apologize. And sometimes that helps to restore their confidence and their ego, knowing that when my boss is wrong, he can accept it. Then when he is wrong, he will accept it. A leader is not omnipotent.
And it's not omniscience. Doesn't know everything.
Yes.
They're just failing loudly. So should you. Now we're talking about this. We have two more to go to round of one. In the penultimate one is one more push. I remember when we were pushing for mobile money acceptance, and so you came up with this one more push, and you posted it in all the official WhatsApp group, and you were just nudging people until we started seeing the results. Places where they said, "No, we don't want Afrimoney here. No, we don't want Afrimoney." I said, "One more push, one more push, one more push." Tell us, tell us the importance of that principle.
Yeah, it's very easy for us to fall back and say it's not working. That's one of the easiest things to say. Boss, it's not working. Say it's not working. Madam, it's not working. It's not working. And you are right. It's not working. It is not working. But imagine I come to your restaurant, and by virtue of the way I'm dressed, I never look like I don't have money. If you went to the hub today, you sat down for dinner, they'll come and ask you, what do you want to eat? They never come and ask you, how much do you have?
How much do you have? They don't ask if you have money.
They believe you enough that for you to walk boldly to their restaurant, you have money.
You have money.
Okay. So the first thing, they'll ask you, they'll serve you, you eat. When they finish, they bring you the bill. And they expect you to pay. Nothing stops you from paying. You see, the reason why the central bank declares mobile money as legal tender means that it should be accepted. It should be accepted. So if at the time when you want to execute that, I want to pay. Oh, but I don't have cash. You don't have cash? Yes. So why did you eat? I have money, but it's in mobile money. So how do you pay? You don't have an AfriCell SIM. Anybody has an Afrimoney SIM. I can take you through the process and I pay you. They will resist from the beginning with the assumption that you have money in your pocket. And truly, you don't. In the end, they will accept it. That one push that you did has opened the door for them to understand that we can receive this money as payment. And then anytime I go to them and I go through this one more push, we tell them the story that research has it and has shown that people who spend digital money spend more than people who spend physical cash. So,
and it's really the truth.
It is
it's the truth. If you're accounting the cash like that, you think
the money they don't.
Money more cool.
Then you put the rest. You do. I don't want 3. I want 2. You put the rest back in your pocket. But when if
you're pushing electronics,
it's only when you check your balance. Say, I don't die. But then you would have spent. You see, so it was very necessary for us to do that, and I think it's still very necessary for us to continue doing it, because in anything you do, sometimes you just need one more push, because you typically don't know what is on the other side and how close you are
to success. And I think he says I've heard something that sometimes success is just hanging on when others are letting go. And the failures in life are people who didn't know how close they were to success when they gave up. So close. No, how close they were to success when they gave up.
Being so close. So you keep on pushing, and it's just probably just that one more last one, and then you get over the line. So it's critical.
Now the last one for this evening. We would have a part 2 of this, but let's take the last one for this session today. And I was asking you about what actually clearly defines you. What defines you? What story defines you? And you said Dreamer Unlimited. And you started talking about human beings having magnetic waves, and the book that your dad gave you at a very early age, The Truth Shall Set You Free. This is where we're going to wrap up. Now tell us, Dreamer Unlimited, human beings have magnetic waves and stuff that around. Let's talk about that. Dreamer Unlimited.
So I call myself a Dreamer Unlimited because dreams come true. Right, and then many of the very successful people also say that if your dream is not big enough, your dream doesn't scare you, then
it's not big enough.
It's not big enough. There are many things that we wish for ourselves, we want to do, but we never drive our body, mind, and soul and spirit to it. You cannot be half-hearted at the things you really want. You are either in it, full, or you are out. And this is where I tie it to the magnetic fields around us, as it were. In that book I read, The Truth Shall Set You Free, it says that we attract the things that we constantly think about. So people who are successful, they are relentless, they are restless. They are always thinking about what to do next. How do we get this thing going? That is what fills their minds. And therefore, there is very little room for negativity because their brains are positive. And the universe works in their favor. Like things work around you because when, like they say, you are dressed by the way you are dressed. So when somebody sees you, you look very good. Probably they are waiting for the chief executive officer to come and they see you and you are looking, oh, hello, boss. Are you Mr.
Are you the chief executive? It's really how you're dressed.
Probably by that, by your looks. Because like they also say that dress for your next job. Dress to look like your next position.
job.
So these are things that when you have a positive mindset, you do everything that helps you to attract the things that will help you or lead you there. Like I was saying about the restaurant. If we go to the restaurant today and you are shabbily dressed and somebody is finely dressed, even in the restaurants, there are seats that will distinguish between who should sit here and who should sit there. Maybe the one who is very well dressed doesn't even have money. But the universe works for people who want to succeed in life. That is why in some countries, those who scam people, you see them by virtue of their appearance, the way they speak, they've taught themselves, they've learned, they've mastered the art of scamming. And it's all about putting up putting up the appearance that brings the universe close to you. So people who have positive brains, people who don't have portions of their brain constantly thinking about negativity, they thrive. Anybody whose mindset is always negative, this will happen, this didn't happen, this person is that, you fill your brain with negativity and you attract negativity because this is how the universe is created. Those who do good, think good, attract good things. So very important. And so if you dream big. And as you dream big, when you wake up and you see that Range Rover that you dreamt about you want to buy, you keep asking yourself, how much does it cost? What does it take to get there? With my current salary, can I get there? No. That means that I have to better myself. I need to change job. And that is what will be the first point of call for you to do that course. You do that course, you go to that school, you get your promotion, you get a salary increase before you realize you're driving the Range Rover. If your thoughts are not filled with the good things that you want to attract, negativity will also surround you. Very, very important. And then I end also by the things, one of the things we spoke about, science, sense, and faith.
Science, sense, and faith. SSF.
Very, very important to me as a person because science is what guides us. Like today we know if you mix blue and yellow, you get green. It's science. Nothing will change it, right? Faith is what we get from the religions that we believe in. And when a man loses faith, when your faith is done, then we are finished because we live by faith. We speak today and you said, there will be a part 2. When? How? Do we know what will happen when we walk out of it? But we believe we'll be alive tomorrow. And it's all by faith. So faith is, so there's science. But the most important thing, bringing all these things together, the science that you read about, the science that is existence, the faith that you believe in, is your sense. If a man does not exercise common sense, it doesn't matter what you put in his brain. That is where Jesus Christ comes in. He came to heal the sick and
but not the stupid.
And it's your sense that will move you away from that. So exercising good faith, having belief and knowing science, and then your sense is what will get you, for me, far and further.
Mr. Martison Obeng-Agyei has been my guest for this wild ride that we had today. And no doubt, I know something has been shared that has shaped your life. Now, so post your comments down below and we would come back to you. What was the points that Martison mentioned today? Which one stood out very strongly for you? Which did you agree with? Which did you disagree with? But it's a great pleasure having you on the set today. Mr. Martison Obeng-Agyei, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been coming for
ages.
From ages. But thank God that we're able to do it today. So it's really great pleasure. I have all the time to be with you. And I hope something has been shared that means a lot to you. And you know, you've listened. You know, Christ says, you know, blessed is he who has not just only heard, but doeth those things that they hear. Well, that's all we've been able to share today. And it's my sincere prayer and sincere wish that these things that you've heard, you'd really reflect on them and put them to practice. And you know, the blessings is actually with those not just here, who would hear, but those who would do. Till we meet another edition of the show, please keep walking, because this is a life that we can shape. It's a life that we can design. This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.